I'm a big fan of having like
on
a
the
metal
door.
security screen door or whatever that other people can't open from the outside. We've got one of those. It's very nice because they can't do like a foot in the door kind of thing. You open it,
Mm.
it's got like the security bars. You're like, oh, sorry, I actually don't really want to get solar powered pest control or whatever you're selling. And you can just close it.
I got my safety right here, locked and loaded.
Oh, there we go. You know, you got to get those bad
You
boys
wanna mess with
registered
the
in this
mama
state.
bear?
The mama bear.
I got a FOID card for these bad boys.
Dude, you know what I just realized? 4 and 4, Mama Bear would be some pretty sweet nucktats.
For what?
4 letters and 4 letters. Mama Bear. You could get that across your knuckles.
MOMA.
It's MAMA, Mama
Oh,
BEAR.
I normally spell it MOMMA.
What are you, like 85? You go MOMMA?
Yeah.
Okay, being a mother, you're probably more qualified to, spell this than I am, but
Okay. I mean, I don't know what would be more popular. Probably MAMA, but I also feel like that's okay.
More
Are
southern?
you looking it up?
Maybe. Oh, this is the opposite of what I would have thought. I was guessing MAMA was Southern. It says MAMA is more common in general, while MOMMA is more common in the South.
Oh. Well, I grew up in the Midwest, so it was a 50-50 chance, right?
We're mid enough west that people talked kind of like with a little Southern thing going on. But it was like the gas station Southern. They weren't like, well, I do declare. They were like, oh, got to get that there lawnmower that's down there by the Shell station. That's on the back. It's more like that.
Yeah. They, and I'm sure this might ruffle some feathers, but soda versus pop. I know up north they say pop. I say soda. In the South, I don't know.
Yeah, I hear in the South they say pop. I think I've mentioned this before, but I always say soda pop, so I just don't get yelled at.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I'm going to go down to the gas station on the corner and get a soda pop.
That's what people sound like in our town. That's really good.
Yeah, they do.
Man.
Yep.
I also don't want to ruffle any feathers, but one time a local guy named Carl Speed threw MMA legend Matt Hughes into a dumpster.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Niche Knowledge and Nonsense. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Ethan.
And every 2 weeks, we come out with a new episode. We alternate episodes. So we just pick a random topic that interests us, and then we talk about it with each other. And today, we're talking about something that millions of people fear, something that people chase for a living.
A spider.
And lastly, how to get sucked and blown by Mother Nature. Yes, we are talking about tornadoes.
Oh, I was way off base with the spiders. It was only like 2 out of the 3 points. I knew I was cooked, bro.
Yeah.
So we're talking about tornadoes in general?
Yes.
Okay, so this is great. I actually, being Midwesterners like ourselves, I think a lot of us are either scared of tornadoes or we freaking love them. I'm definitely like a tornado watcher. Like if there's one in, off of the yonder.
Well, we're from the Midwest, so anytime there's like a big thunderstorm or a tornado warning or watch, people are out in their front yards just looking outside.
Absolutely.
And I'm one of them.
Yeah, especially. Yeah, for sure. If it starts like getting like there's dangerous debris flying around, I'll go inside.
Or like hail. Yeah, it's time to go
even
in.
if it's hail, I'm like, it's not going to bust through my porch roof. I'll be okay.
If you don't know what a tornado is, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you live under a rock, or maybe you are a mole person. I don't know.
They don't have those underground, yeah.
Yes. Regardless, I will tell you what a tornado is. Okay. A tornado is a rapidly spinning, funnel-shaped column of air that extends from a thunderstorm to the ground. It's a destructive weather phenomenon characterized by strong, rotating winds that can reach speeds of up to 300 miles per hour.
Sheesh, that's faster than my freaking car, dude. And I drive a sedan, the fastest kind of car.
That might be faster than Naruto. I don't know.
I'm not sure. But yeah, so wait a second.
How fast can your car go?
My car?
Mm-hmm.
Over the speed limit, that's for dang sure, at least 55. But anyway, I have a huge tornado question that I'm hoping you answer.
Okay.
If these suckers, and I mean that in a literal sense, as they're like sucking up everything basically, are made out of air, right? Then why are they gray? What gives them their color? Will we ever find out? Science can't answer this one question, and it makes me sick.
Actually, it can.
Well, let's learn more. What have you got about tornadoes?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna answer your question right now. It gets that color from the dirt and the debris that's inside of it.
All right, Miss Tornado Expert. Then riddle me this. Why is it gray before it touches the ground?
Because it's clouds.
All right. Well, what are clouds made of? Air? Then why are they gray? Science can't answer this one simple question.
I'm going to punch you in the face.
Look, you just told me you're not even vaping anymore. You're not a vapor. And don't act like that gives you some kind of badge of expertise. All right. But let's proceed. I don't want to hold this up anymore. I've spoken my case.
Did you know that there are a bunch of different types of tornadoes? And I found this mildly interesting, and hopefully you will too. And even if not, you're still listening, so that's a good sign. Here is a visual that shows the different tornado types. So I'm going to send you this, and we'll put it up on the screen.
Sure.
And then I want you to tell me your top 3 faves from this.
I would love to do that. Tornado types. Oh, I thought this was going to be a joke. This is actually like classifications of tornado by structure. All right, so we have a wire tornado, rope, needle, V-shaped, cigar, cylinder, cone, land spout, concave-sided, straight-sided, convex-sided, segmented, truncated, bulb-shaped, hourglass, and loop ring knot. This is kind of wild, so I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I don't want to talk too much. But
you're fine. Like this is all about discussion too.
Those ones are so cool. It'd be great for like, the cover of an album or something, because they're zigzagging everywhere.
Yeah, like a Creed album. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of the coolest looking ones is like the V shape. I also really like the straight sided, but I feel like the one I see the most that's just like the OG tornado would probably either be like the concave sided or maybe the hourglass. What do you think?
I have to agree. My favorite one's the loop ring knot, although I feel like that one would be, I don't know because I didn't look this up, but that one to me seems like it would be the more like intense one to chase if for a storm chaser, because these other ones are like mostly solid. Except for the wire and the rope.
Sure.
Because I feel like they would move differently than the wider tornadoes. So they could just move any direction. Any tornado can do that.
Sure. They can be unpredictable. And I think I've seen some of like the loop ring knots forming and never actually like becoming a really good stable funnel. But it's really interesting how it can be such a narrow funnel and just be whipping all over the place. Like the wind current is moving in a little Sonic the Hedgehog speed ring kind of loop. It's weird.
Yeah. The wire one looks super cool though.
Oh, I agree. That also looks sick. They all kind of look sick. I feel like the cylinder, that one's very dramatic. I don't think I've ever seen one like that before. It's just straight up and down like a straw. It's like a AA battery or something.
It really is.
Huh. I've learned something already. I thought you were just going to talk about like, what is that tornado rating? Like the EF 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Actually, that's next. That's next in my notes.
Well, I would love to hear about it, but that is not the classification of tornado form. Way to go.
No, those are just the different types. Yeah.
I know now.
So scientists use the enhanced Fujita scale, also known as the EF scale, to categorize tornadoes into 6 intensity levels based on wind speed and the amount of damage they cause, ranging from EF0 to EF5. If you've ever seen Twister, yes, that was one of my favorite movies growing up. They talk about they talk about EF5s and how it was like, you know, like so traumatic for Joe to experience as a kid, and how it like sucked her dad out from the storm cellar door, all that stuff. All right, this is what we're talking about. So here's a breakdown of the 6 categories. An EF0 is considered light. So typically has wind speeds of up to 65 to 85 miles an hour. Causes light.
That's slow.
That's still, yeah.
It's like a wind gust.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So mainly causes light damage like downed tree limbs and minor roof damage. The next one, the EF1, is considered moderate. The wind speeds vary from 86 to 110 miles an hour. It causes moderate damage like stripped roofs, overturned mobile homes, and damaged windows. So a little more serious. Right?
I mean, we're only at 1 and it's moderate already, but go on.
Okay. An EF2 is considered significant. So wind speeds are now at 111 to 135 miles an hour. Typically causes significant damage like major roof damage, loss of siding and windows, and uprooted trees.
Sheesh.
Okay.
Right. We've had similar. I mean, I've had uprooted trees just from strong wind in general, but this would be more widespread.
Yes.
And it sucks the windows right out. Doesn't even break them.
The wind does actually break them. So my great grandparents actually, I believe it was an EF2 that went through. So they grew up in Paris, Illinois, which is very close to like the Indiana border of Illinois.
The city of love, as they call it.
In Illinois. Yes. Okay. Also, why do we suck? Why do we name like towns after
There's got to be a reason, because we have like
there's like a California, Missouri.
I mean, Illinois has,
or is
like,
it in Illinois? I don't know.
What do they have? They have like Athens. They have Paris.
There's a town called Gaze. Did you know that?
I didn't know they were in a town. Wait, what?
No, there's a town in Illinois called Gaze. I would have to drive through it to get to Paris. Has a population of like 300, if that. Yeah, dude. Anyway.
Okay.
So my great grandparents had a tornado go through their farm, and it did bust windows out on like all of their windows on their second story house on one side.
Sure.
Like,
now,
shattered glass everywhere.
Were you a family when there was a tornado warning, they would make you go open the windows?
Never.
Really? Have you heard of this?
Never. No.
So we were an open the windows family, and the idea was that windows would break because of like the uneven pressure from the inside and outside. Because I guess, significant atmospheric pressure drops can happen with big storms.
Yeah.
Or the idea that it couldn't just like, suck on it or something if it was open. So anytime there was a tornado, run around, open all the windows.
Are you making this up?
I'm dead serious. You can probably look this up, but this was like a common thing. I don't think it actually helps.
I've never heard of this. I mean, in theory, it makes sense, but I've never heard of that. We're going to have to look this up.
Opening windows. So if you look up opening windows, for me, the first result is during a tornado.
This says no, you should not.
Yeah, that's the first answer. Again, probably an urban legend, but
in theory, it makes sense.
One of the first results is Reddit r/AskOldPeople. The question, when did we stop cracking windows open for tornadoes?
I just found that.
Yeah, which is about the same thing, it's just like in the old, they talk about the myth that you needed to crack your windows for a tornado from weather.gov. The myth is windows should be opened before a tornado to equalize pressure and minimize damage. The fact is that opening windows allows damaging winds to enter the structure. Leave the windows alone. It is now believed that a solid structure, no windows or doors open, has a better chance of escaping major damage.
But
no, I'm not just making stuff up. Man, I've never made up
You
one
mess with
jack
me so
squat
much, I just don't
thing.
know anymore, dude.
No, dude, I'm always telling the truth. That's what's crazier.
Okay, all right. Well, let's move on.
Okay.
We still have 3 more to go, right?
Yeah,
Because we're counting 0.
Mm-hmm.
So we just did a 2. So EF3 is considered more severe. The wind speeds are from 136 to 165 miles an hour. And it typically causes severe damage like complete roof removal, destruction of well-built houses, and uprooted trees.
Wow. So well-built houses are already exiting the chat at EF3?
Yes.
Yeesh. It makes me scared to figure out what's happening with this 4 and this 5.
Yes. So an EF4 is considered devastating. The wind speeds are from 166 to 200 miles an hour. They cause devastating damage like complete destruction of well-built houses. Cars are thrown and significant debris. If you've ever seen Twister, this is probably when the cows would be flying around.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
So this is the point where it's doing this, the typical lifting trucks off the ground, flattening communities, whatever.
Right.
Gotcha.
So lastly, we have the EF5, which is considered incredible. Wind speeds exceed over 200 miles an hour. They cause incredible damage like complete obliteration of structures, debris flying for miles, and a total wipeout of everything in its path.
Sheesh. So yeah, and again, these are ones that can be like ripping stuff out of the ground, like it's sucking up the dirt, leaving a scar on the earth as it carves its way across the landscape.
Quite literally. If you think your ex is awful, try an EF5 tornado.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely. Marginally worse, am I right?
Yeah, right. Despite popular belief, tornadoes do happen in countries other than the United States. Ethan, any guesses on the second topmost country to experience tornadoes?
I actually have no idea. I'm going to say that the name in EF sounds vaguely Japanese, so I might go with Japan.
Okay. It's actually Canada, our neighbors up north.
Oh, man, snow tornadoes. That would be wild.
That's in Antarctica. So yeah, Canada is actually number 2 in most tornadoes. The U.S. is number 1 in tornadoes. Maybe not very many other things like education or things of that sort. But tornadoes, we got that going for us.
Absolutely.
We're number 1 at being sucked and blown, guys.
Yes. No wonder we also lead the world in immigration.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, we lived in Tornado Alley, kind of the popular stretch of states that get, the most tornadoes, which I don't know exactly, but I always heard it kind of then intense piece of that stretch from like Oklahoma up through northern Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll actually mention that after this list.
Sweet.
And I have a picture as well. So that's cool.
Oh, okay.
So Canada's number 2 in tornado frequency, with the prairies being a particularly active region. Number 3 is Europe. Tornadoes can occur in various parts of Europe, with some regions experiencing them more frequently than others. Number 4 is actually Australia.
Australia gets tornadoes? Yes. They just spin the other direction?
It's like a boomerang. It goes back to where it starts.
They start sticking up from the ground, pointing up at the sky. I guess they would, huh? So in Australia, they start at the ground and reach up to the clouds?
Yeah, they're like backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's upside down on the other side of the earth. Yeah, I get it. But most of the tornadoes in Australia they happen in unpopulated areas. So mainly just like the kangaroos instead of cows flying around.
Sure. And yeah, so that's kind of wild. I wonder if that's by design or just because Australia is, for the most part, kind of empty between the big metropolitan areas.
It might be. Yeah. Next on the list is South America. So there's a specific region known as the Paseo de los Tornados in Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and parts of Brazil. And those are considered like a tornado hotspot
Sure.
in that area. And then the last two, we have Asia. So in Asia, Bangladesh, Japan. So Japan is on the list. The Philippines, India, and China also have areas where tornadoes happen. And then lastly is New Zealand, but it's rare.
I wouldn't have guessed New Zealand at all. In fact, I always heard that they were a distinctly North American thing, that it was rare in general for them to pop up anywhere else. So shows what I know.
Not as common as the US.
Sure.
I think I looked this up but forgot to include it in my notes. But so far there have been over 1,000 reported tornadoes in the US since the end of May of this year alone.
Sheesh, are we breaking records or something? That's a lot.
No, I think I remember reading that at one point there were nearly 2,000. Like a couple of years ago.
1,900 too many, yeah. You got to have a balance.
Which is insane. And I also don't know how they are like keeping track of this. If it's tornadoes that have fully touched the ground, because we have a number of them that start to form and then don't completely form. Because I have seen like circles in the sky, like it's trying to form and it's like rotating and moving, but then it just never forms into a funnel. Yeah.
That used to happen all the time. So you've seen like my parents' house, like how they live like by all the cornfields.
Yeah.
But like we'd go out sometimes and just random like massive like 500-foot circles would be just like completely flattened in the middle of the cornfields. And we figured it's probably the only explanation would be a tornado just like boop, just touched down, destroyed the corn in a circle and then went back up.
Or UFO. Could also be that.
Well, why would it? If it's not in the sky, it's in a cornfield.
Yeah, but if it's
joking,
you're trying to mess with me.
See, that was me bullcrapping you.
Yes, I know.
Learn the freaking difference.
Have you ever seen like a funnel cloud though? Like out?
Oh yeah, I've seen a bunch of tornadoes. I've seen a bunch of funnel clouds.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's pretty wild.
Yeah, 2 days ago at work, I work in St. Louis. Over in Missouri, we had some tornadoes and really, really funny. They were doing kids camps and the siren started going off and one kid yelled, "We're all gonna die." And then all the other kids just started screaming at the top of their lungs.
My kids are very young. They're 6 and 4. And the last couple of summers I've babysat like neighborhood kids just to like help families out. But this one little kid was terrified of tornadoes. And I would have to like, anytime there's like a big storm, I'd be like, guys, if there's a tornado, my phone will let me know and we'll go somewhere safe. I have a plan. You don't need to be like, it's okay to be scared, but I will tell you and we'll be okay. But they would be outside, and in the Midwest, most towns set off their tornado sirens the first day or two of the month. Where I live, it's the first Tuesday of the month, right? I don't know if that varies for towns.
Yeah, 10 a.m. on the first Tuesday of the month. I think that's ours.
Pretty standard. Okay, because that's about when they do it here. Well, we were outside playing and the tornado siren went off, and this kid who's terrified of tornadoes also would call them tomatoes. He's like, "There's a tomato coming!" I was like, "No, buddy."
Easy mistake. That wouldn't necessarily, that wouldn't even be a bad thing.
I should have really just like freaked out with him, be like, "Oh my God!"
Right. Yeah,
tomato!
A tomato. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say most people I know are pretty used to the sirens going off, pretty used to getting the phones absolutely freaking out. They send, an urgent alert and your phone starts making the emergency tone.
Oh yeah.
Whenever there's a tornado warning, not a, tornado watch. So right. I would almost say once you reach your 20s, especially once you reach your 30s, the magic has kind of worn off. And it just becomes, clean up and stuff and a little bit fascinating, but maybe an annoyance.
Yeah. Or maybe you're like, maybe it's my time. I don't know. Also, for those of you who don't know, a tornado warning means that a tornado has been sighted or detected on radar. And a tornado watch means that there is potential for one to form, whether it's like the weather conditions, obviously, but yeah.
Sure. And on the prescriptive side, that means if there's a tornado watch, you better watch yourself and your loved ones by going inside. If there's a tornado warning, don't bother going inside. It's over for you. Like,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, guys. You better have a life insurance and like a will or something.
So, Bailey, how rare is an EF5? Like, has that ever even happened?
They're not as common. I would have to look up statistics for it, but they're not nearly as common. I would say a 0 to a 2 are more common. They're incredibly rare, making up less than 1% of all tornadoes in the U.S.
1%? Okay, so they're very rare. Okay.
So since 1950, there have been only 59 EF5 tornadoes in the U.S., which averages less than 1 per year.
Sheesh. That's actually kind of wild.
Yeah. So it's pretty rare, which is a good thing. I mean, tornadoes in general are scary because they're just so unpredictable and destructive.
Sure.
You don't want an EF5.
I certainly don't.
Ever. Yeah. If I could conjure one, maybe, but I would also not use that ability.
Yeah, unless you're in rural Australia, because it's usually not that populated.
Kangaroos.
Yeah, so this is wild. It is less than 1 EF5 tornado per year, which is, I guess, why they attract so much attention when it actually happens. And the vast majority, it looks like, happen in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few others that I just saw on this page, like one in Germany, and then followed by, I want to say, at least 20 or 30 United States listings. Like, it's way slanted in our favor.
Yeah.
Everything's bigger in the USA.
I think we're number 1 in tornadoes because we kind of suck.
There,
that's it.
There we go. The joke was in there somewhere, and you, heavens, you dug it out.
Yeah. So, Ethan, you may be thinking, and if you're listening, you may also be thinking, but why do tornadoes mostly happen in the U.S.? Do you have any guesses, Ethan?
Oh, I do know. I took a meteorology class. I forget 95% of it, but I didn't know if maybe it has something to do with all of the more, what would you say, standard air currents or something that go over the U.S. I don't know if they have to be in a specific pattern or something like that makes the storm patterns, more intense right at the crossing of those two sides of the states.
So it does come down to the unique geography of the United States. So the Great Plains of the central U.S. have a combination of dry, cold air from Canada and then warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. So it's kind of like a sandwich, which basically just makes like the perfect conditions for storms and tornadoes.
Wait, in the sandwich, then what are we? We're the meat?
Maybe.
So because of that, oh my God. Please continue. This is disgusting.
Okay. This is disgusting.
Yeah, are you kidding? Just because we're in the middle of frickin' Canada and Mexico, now they're going to suck our meat?
Yeah.
I don't like this one bit. Okay, you can proceed, but I don't like where this is going.
Okay. The United States also has what's called Tornado Alley, or Tornado Alley if you're not Southern. This region in the U.S. is known for its frequent and intense tornado activity. In summary, while the U.S. is the location for the most tornadoes, they are not limited to this region and occur worldwide in various climates and geographical areas. So I'm going to send you a picture now.
Sure.
And we'll pop it up on the screen for you guys to look at. Now, through the middle 1980s, Tornado Alley ran through the central part of the country from Texas to North and South Dakota. Since then, the greatest concentration has made a noticeable shift into parts of the lower Mississippi Valley and also the Tennessee River valleys. In addition,
Yeah.
we now have two more tornado alleys. Hoosier Alley, which is up in parts of Indiana and Ohio, and Carolina Alley,
Which is out in like around Charlotte.
yes, North
So
Carolina.
this is kind of wild. It's not even just an alley. I can see why it used to be called that. It was kind of a straight shot through the middle of the
It
US.
was.
And now it's
Yeah.
kind of the entire east half of the country. More is covered by that tornado alley than is not. It's like a whole tornado
Yes.
intersection.
It really is. And like the yellow is from 1950 to 1984. And it's basically all of those states from Texas on up.
Sure.
But now the red, I mean, the graph ends in 2023, but that still counts for now. But now Illinois, Missouri, basically all those southern states down there are now included in that. And I know Tennessee does get like a ton of severe weather now too.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we can also see on this map the only substantial overlap between the different eras is central Oklahoma, which has just always been a hotbed for tornado activity.
Yeah. Yeah, which is wild.
Interesting, yeah.
So I'm sure we've all seen pictures and videos of tornadoes, but Ethan, have you ever seen a fully formed tornado, not just like funnel clouds?
Yes,
in person?
A few times. Never very extreme ones. They've all been pretty short-lived, like only had contact with the ground for I'd say probably under a minute. And
Okay.
at a pretty healthy distance.
Okay.
But one time on a porch and one time I was out driving and I saw one just kind of off in the distance creeping over and I was like, I should drive faster.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, have you ever seen one in person?
I have, but I was very young. So for a period of time, I lived in a town called Posodum, Illinois, which is middle of nowhere.
Sure.
Like middle of nowhere. My family actually rented a house that used to be for nuns. It was owned by a Catholic church, and our backyard was a cemetery.
I think we found this on the air in an early episode,
did.
like when we were talking about cemeteries, right?
Yes. I looked it up on Google Maps because I feel like you have memories as a child, but being able to like look up where you lived kind of like helps bring like memories back. I don't know.
Sure. I agree, yeah.
Yeah. But I was actually like walking around the cemetery and this huge storm came through and my parents had gone into town to get haircuts. My older sister was babysitting myself and my younger sister, and a neighbor called us and said that there was a tornado in our area. So she grabbed a bunch of like laundry baskets and pillows and took us all down into the basement, which this basement very much like typical horror movie, like crucifixes on the walls, a single light bulb hanging from the middle of the room.
Sure.
Like
sounds
creepy
exactly
ass
like
stairs to get down there.
Group.
Yeah. And our dog did not want to go into the basement. Like we got her into the house, but I was like really scared for the dog, but I also would have been like 5. But I do remember it, looking out the window and seeing the sky was just like a green, like a mean green color. And yeah. That's
so
all
I
I
remember that
from
being
it.
a
But
stereotype that I don't know if you call that stereotype so much as a folk saying or something. When I was a kid, people would say if it turns green outside, go to the basement.
Yes, absolutely. If it turns green, that's probably not a good sign. Also, if you hear what sounds like a train, like a low rumbling, and you're not near trains, probably need to go somewhere safe because it could be a tornado. So I happened to find footage of the first recorded tornado from 1957.
That was the first recorded tornado, wasn't until almost the 60s? That's actually kind of wild.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a screen share.
So this is actually wild to me. Until literally almost the 60s, tornadoes were something you either saw in person or heard about. There was no way for you to just go see actual documentation of the fact that they exist.
Well, no, they had pictures. They just didn't have video.
Yeah, but I mean, a picture, who even freaking believes anything like that anymore? They would probably, before 1957, they probably are like, that's AI. That's not real.
That's AI generated. That is, you fucking made that up.
That's ChatGPT.
You made it up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't want it to be too loud because there is sound.
Dogs, ostriches.
Oh my. Okay, pause it. Stop. You got me good there. You let me do a whole monologue before you show the video of the Tasmanian devil.
It was so stupid. I had to.
Oh my gosh. And for any of our listeners outside of Canada, the Tasmanian devil is like an old Looney Tunes character who can, so wild and crazy, he can turn into a tornado.
Yes. I do actually have footage of it though. I did. It's actually from 1951. Footage of the first recorded tornado. And so I'm going to pull that up here. This one is legit, I promise. So I'm just going to play a little clip of it. Remember, this is from 1951, so the quality, meh.
But 59 years ago, June 8th, 1951, things changed dramatically.
Yes, we saw the dark clouds. I'm sure that none of us will ever forget the tornado in 51.
The tornado of 51 will be remembered as one of the first ever recorded on motion picture film, thanks to Corn resident John Gosens.
We live 6 miles south of Corn, and my dad ran for his movie camera, and we videoed that.
We followed it in. We were the first ones into town, and we couldn't get into town.
The tornado destroyed the south side of Corn.
Yes, the town is called Corn.
That is so perfect. That could not be any more perfect. And the residents were exactly what I would want out of the town of Corn.
Yeah. Perfect. I also like that she called it a tornado.
Tornado.
Yeah. Not a tornado, a tornado.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a black and white, very, what would you say, like poor frame rate video, but it's still, you can tell what it is. So that's pretty awesome to be the first person to catch that on video. And it was just a guy who had a camera in a small town.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then here is a crazy tornado video of a tornado in Texas. So I'm going to get that ready. Texas isn't in Tornado Alley, but they still get some crazy.
It used to be, right?
Yeah. All right, ready?
I'm so ready. Oh my gosh. Okay, what the heck is Texas tornado? This is a freaking wrestler. Okay, that's a nice footage of a tornado kind of intersplice. Okay. Stop the video. Stop the video.
Wait, no, we gotta watch the tornado spin. We gotta watch it. Wait, here it is. Ready?
Oh! Okay, that was powerful. That was pretty good.
That was yeah, dude, I had to dig for that. But tornadoes, I was like, how can I relate this back to wrestling? So I just Googled tornado wrestling. That guy popped up. His name, what's his name? Let me pull it up really quick. Kerry Von Erich was also known as the Texas Tornado.
Texas Tornado for sure.
Yeah, dude.
That's amazing. And he has a punch that's so powerful. If he lands it, you go spinning 2 or 3 times before you hit the ground. There are really 2 hits. He hits you, you hit the ground.
So I looked up the top 5 most deadly tornadoes that have happened in the U.S. Okay. The first one is the Tri-State Tornado, which happened on March 18th, 1925. And it is the deadliest and longest tracked tornado in American history.
So this was 100 years ago.
Yes. So it hit parts of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, causing 695 deaths and over 200 injuries.
Sheesh.
The tornado's path was estimated to be between 151 and 235 miles long, and it was believed to have been an F5 with winds over 300 miles per hour. The storm destroyed more than 15,000 homes and caused $1.4 billion in property damage, and that number has been adjusted for inflation. So here's a picture of the destruction of that.
And it's like you said, it's just loose piles of rubble. You can't identify any structures.
No.
You can see maybe some 2x4s all strewn about, and that's it. Nothing hooked to them.
That's it. No. The second most deadly tornado in the U.S. is the Tupelo-Gainesville outbreak. So while technically more than one storm, in April of 1936, an outbreak of tornadoes killed more than 450 people. This is the only outbreak where 2 separate tornadoes resulting from the same storm outbreak each killed more than 200 people. The storms largely impacted people in Tupelo, Mississippi, and Gainesville, Georgia. So I'm going to send a picture of that aftermath here.
Interesting. There are still some trees standing.
Mm-hmm. But if you zoom in on the trees, you can see that they're stripped.
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, the bark is pulled off the trees.
Yes.
No leaves either.
Right.
So I didn't know. I guess I assumed it wouldn't make sense for there to be a tornado like that in the winter, I suppose. But and they're in this picture, they're already doing cleanup where they're sorting boards and beams into piles and using wagons drawn by little buggy cars to haul stuff apart away.
I just can't imagine, because look at all the houses that are still standing behind all of those that were hit. I can't imagine that being my house and then seeing my neighbor across the street, their house is still standing.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I don't know. I can't imagine the damage being this precise. That there's, just a strip where houses are completely torn to the ground, and then 200 feet back, they're fine.
Mm-hmm. It's
pretty
wild.
odd.
The third most deadly tornado is the Great Natchez Tornado. So on May 7th, all the way back in 1840, the second... Oh, I'm sorry. These are out of order. This one's the second. The second deadliest tornado in the U.S. hit Natchez, Mississippi. It caused over 300 people to lose their lives, many of which were assumed dead because their bodies were never located. One of the reasons the storm killed so many is because it not only hit Natchez, which sits along the Mississippi River, but also swept across the river, sinking many of the flatboats carrying freight and their crews.
That's scary.
Yeah. And with that happening in 1840, there's not an actual picture of it, but there is a drawing. I'm just going to send that over to you. And it just shows a boat in the Mississippi with lightning and a tornado across the water, which can happen. Tornadoes can be strong enough to go over water.
Sure.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah. That's a neat, that'd make a nice stamp. That's very cool. But this is so literally like you'd see in the movie Twister, people being sucked up and lost just because I guess they were blown out into the woods or something where they're never
Well,
recovered.
The Mississippi is also incredibly dangerous because of the undercurrents. So
it might blow people into the water, huh?
Yeah.
Or
so
just
you're
sink
either
the
getting
ships,
sucked
and those
by
are
the
the
tornado
people who
or
are
sucked by the river.
Yeah. So you're right. A lot of those are probably people who were lost
Like-
at sea, and that's why they're, well, it's a river.
River.
But,
Same thing,
still
though,
lost.
'cause of the-
lost in the water, but.
Yeah.
Sad.
Terrifying. Number 4 is the 1896 St. Louis tornado, which you guys just had one a couple weeks ago.
That was pretty rough. Yeah, we've had a few in the St. Louis area, but go on.
Right. On May 27th of 1896, a historic tornado swept through St. Louis, which was one of the larger and more influential inland cities in the U.S. at the time. Still kind of is, ginormous.
Sure.
The result was catastrophic loss of life and infrastructure. The storm killed at least 255 people and caused around $352 million in damages, adjusted for inflation, in about 20 minutes, Ethan.
That's way more than I make in 20 minutes. That's kind of scary.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we do have a picture of that aftermath.
Okay. I mean, let's see. That's pretty. Oh, that's a nice photo for being over 100 years old.
Yeah, but they're like the horse-drawn carriages.
Everyone wearing, literally everyone wearing a suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a beautiful dress.
Yeah.
So this one is, again, the walls of brick buildings are just tipped over. I guess the roofs are stripped bare, and then the support gets compromised. They fall over. It's not completely reduced to gravel, but really wrecked the town. And you can kind of see, it looks like none of the buildings have windows anymore. You can kind of see right through them.
Yeah. And the last on my list, number 5, is the Joplin tornado. So I think a lot of us were a lot of our listeners are going to be are we middle-aged in our 30s?
Yeah, close to it. Yeah.
Technically, I don't know what the cutoff is or when that starts, but
early middle age, sure.
Right. So you may remember hearing about this because this happened in May of 2011. There was a devastating multiple vortex tornado that hit Joplin, Missouri.
Yes.
And it was an EF5. So this tornado was nearly 1 mile wide and cut a path through the city, damaging about 8,000 buildings. Sadly, over 150 people were killed and over 1,000 were injured. This tornado was exceptionally devastating due to its high intensity, the tornado's slow movement, and its direct path through the city. So there is a picture of that aftermath. I'm going to send that over and we'll put it up on the screen. I mean, it was absolutely detrimental. It was just everything in the path was just obliterated.
And in the photo, you can see a destroyed car, and it's in a city area. You can see some damaged concrete buildings where it's basically just a concrete standing, but there are whole trees just thrown over and behind the car. The trees are shoved halfway into the freaking ground. It just jumbled everything.
If you zoom in behind the car, that's a baby bouncer.
Oh, it
the
seemed
white
like it
with
made
the
it
green
okay.
on it.
That's chilling to think about, huh?
Very chilling. And if you zoom in on the concrete building, it looks like apartments. You can see all the windows are blown out.
Windows are blown out, and it looks like debris and stuff is on the second floor up, hanging out of the apartments.
Yeah.
It's
really
scary. Oh yeah, that's
super terrifying.
Terrifying. I've actually seen some reconstruction comparative videos that'll show some of the largest tornadoes ever, measured, and it's always interesting to see Joplin being one of the top few largest tornadoes, high intensity
Yeah,
and, like you said, a mile wide.
Yeah, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
So there, with an EF5, the winds are strong enough that it can blow a piece of straw, like that horses eat, like straw, through a wood fence.
Sheesh, really?
And there is this picture that has gone around Reddit of a piece of lumber through like a concrete curb.
Let's see this. Oh, geez. Yeah. Skewered it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So there's
Do you think
a lot
that
of
could go like right through your
speculation.
chest?
Yeah. Definitely.
Blech.
I think but there's some speculation behind this picture because some people say that there could have been a drainage hole or a pipe in that area, but
Sure.
it did crack it at the top.
Yeah, it looks like it kind of
if there
shaved it on
wasn't.
its way through there. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So
Gross.
regardless, if there was a hole there, that's pretty fucking scary.
It is.
Like,
and like you said, it at the very least, a flipping board broke the concrete.
yeah.
Like, ugh, scary to think about.
Yeah. But this is on r/damn that's interesting. The post was made 4 years ago, and we'll include it in the show notes.
Sure.
But I was just going through the comments on it, and a couple people commented because they lived in the area, but one person said that they'll never forget how it smelled in Joplin after the tornado. But they don't give any more information. But I wonder if it would just smell like, I don't know,
Death,
just
I don't know, like I'm sure they recovered the people fairly quickly, but there's animals, there's sewage that's been overturned or isn't draining properly now. It probably just didn't smell good.
Yeah. Ugh.
Crazy.
Damn. And I asked Adam about this. So he was 16 or 17 when this happened, and he grew up in Missouri and lived in Missouri. And his church, so like he was in a youth group, they actually put a team of people together to go help clean up after the tornado hit Joplin. So it was like a smaller group of people, and they chose 3 different houses, but they weren't houses. There was nothing there. So it was just like 3 different lots to help clean up. So he said that they had to wear protective gear and masks because older homes have asbestos in them. Like they have things in them that aren't safe to just touch with your bare hands and stuff. But his job was to sort types of stuff into piles. So like
For like disposal
separate
or reusing it, kind of
wood, shingles, stuff like that, and just to help clear the lot to rebuild. But he said that all of the trees were bare, like they had all been stripped, no leaves, just completely stripped. The cars were all smashed up. Buildings were either completely obliterated or were like sideways, like it had shifted the foundation. And that it was mentally and physically exhausting to see people who had lost everything. And the agreement, I don't know what the agreement was between like their church and like the cleanup crews, but they were limited to only do 3 lots. And I'm thinking it's probably because they just didn't have a lot of people, but they had people coming up from other homes asking for help, and they had to say no. And of course, they're just completely devastated. They've got nothing left from their home.
Yeah, of course, of course.
And he said that it's just like, it was something that he'll never forget because it was like somebody just took like a giant knife and cut through the city, because where he was, obviously nothing was left, but then a couple blocks away, buildings were fine, which we kind of saw in these other pictures.
For sure.
And there is footage of that with it being a more recent tornado, a more recent EF5. There is footage of that. I actually follow this guy named Reed Timmer. So he's an extreme meteorologist and storm chaser. He has like this super cool car that he drives that he has modded to like withstand crazy winds and stuff. And just like
guy?
Yeah, just some guy. He's I mean, he's kind of insane, but he's been in a couple of documentaries. I mean, he chases tornadoes.
Sure.
Right? You have to be insane to do stuff like that, right? Or at least an adrenaline junkie, but so this video I'm going to show you is from his YouTube account. I don't know if it's him or if it was someone on his team, because he has multiple people that chase tornadoes and storms with him. But yeah, I mean, you can find his stuff basically anywhere. And it's insane, the stuff that he does.
I mean, the concept of like professional or even just hobbyist storm chasers is just so wild.
It is. Okay, so here's this. I muted it. Hang on. All right, so here is this.
It's gonna cross the road. Oh gosh. Okay, got it. There.
Shaky,
oh my gosh.
You can see the tornado.
Oh my gosh.
Crossing over the road there.
There it is.
It's over a mile wide.
There it is. Oh gosh, that is a monster tornado. Okay, back up and go to that road back there.
Okay, Kevin, I'm off the road, so.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Get out of the way. Sorry, not you. My map is being frustrating.
They're so simple.
This is
bad.
Yeah, then this is the aftermath.
Gosh. This is awful.
Not sure what that was.
This is. Look at that. That is destroyed completely.
It's just all gone.
Okay. Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you doing?
A lot of people driving around already.
Well, I'm freaking.
Yeah, it's terrifying. One thing I do appreciate about a number of storm chasers, though, is that not only are they trying to track storms, help let people know what's coming. They're one of the first responders a lot of time to these things, especially in like smaller areas. And a lot of them will help rescue people that are trapped or just stuck. Which I think is pretty awesome. I can't imagine somebody chasing stuff like that and watching somebody's farmhouse getting sucked up and then just like, oh, I got my video. I'm done here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I guess
you should probably go check and see.
Sure. And yeah, I guess like you're saying, once the tornado's over and they have their footage, then what else is there to do?
Right.
You're right. It would be kind of effed up if you just like got your video to sell and then
it would be super messed up. I'm sure that happens. Maybe, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. You wonder if that videographer back in Corn, like if he just made his movie and then went and drank a Modelo or something.
Yeah. It was probably more like a Bud Light.
Maybe, yeah, back then for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that concludes the episode. If you're not afraid of tornadoes, you probably should be.
Yeah.
There are some ways to prepare for a tornado. You can take a shot of whiskey, find a safe shelter, like a basement, a storm cellar, interior room on the lowest level. If you live in an apartment and your apartment's surrounded by windows, try to find a bathroom. You can hide in the bathtub, or you could go into a closet. That would be a good place.
And ideally try to buy some acreage as soon as possible. You don't need to be pouring your money into that apartment.
Right. You want to gather emergency supplies like bottled water, a helmet, and a sword, and learn how to react during a tornado. So you don't want to be a typical Midwestern like Ethan and I out in your front yard.
A helmet and a
looking
sword?
For it. Yeah.
What's this like a zombie TV show? What do you mean?
Well, if someone comes at me and my family, I'm gonna fucking fight it off, okay? And if you can't fight the tornado, you might have to cut your way out if you're trapped. So I'm just saying.
What the heck? What? Okay, we're gonna let that slide.
Okay. Yes.
A sword?
So,
you just hold on. Your emergency preparedness kit is a helmet, water, and a sword.
Yeah, that's all I need.
To be fair, if a 4'9" person busted into the remains of my home after a tornado with a sword and said, "Give me all the food you have," I'd be like, "Well, I just don't have any options. I guess you can have whatever you want."
I will hold you at sword point.
Yeah, I would
not
be like,
knife
that
point,
was
not gun point.
I'd tell
point.
people that's a real life goblin. That's what I would have said to everyone.
By a goblin.
I would have said everybody's making fun of me for believing in goblins on a podcast on the internet, and I'm like, there's real goblins out there. They're not what you'd expect, but they're out there. Okay, yes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to diss your emergency survival
that's okay.
kit. It's
that's
really
okay.
bad, but go on.
PSA, in a tornado, you want to find immediate shelter. Stay away from the windows. Don't necessarily need to open them. No. Stay away from doors, like to the outside, and protect yourself from debris with the sword.
Or the helmet makes sense.
Yes.
But seriously, bro, no
absolutely.
What? Like the iodine tablets, like purify the water, first aid kit.
Do you have like the box of
You mentioned whiskey, so
food?
That's it. Hey, don't tell people about that.
The box of food, don't you just add water to it or something?
Yeah, the freeze-dried food. Yeah, I got it.
No, I bought an emergency kit from Walmart like a year ago.
I think everybody started a year ago, just in case. Probably won't ever need it.
I hope not.
I'd prefer my biggest problem being that I spent $100 on preparedness.
Yeah, there you go. It was an investment you hope to never use.
Amen.
There you go.
Yes. Oh,
like
man.
Swords. I think
exactly.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for listening to the episode on tornadoes. And if you liked it, that's great. If you didn't like it, that's cool too, because we're still going to keep making episodes.
Exactly.
We'll include show notes or Jesus Christ, I cannot talk, Ethan.
No, it's all good. Yeah. Sources, images, those will pop up on the screen. Sources in the show notes.
Yes. So that you can find them and watch the videos on your own if you want. Also want to say thank you to Eric Sparrow for letting us use his song Cherry Crush as our intro and outro.
Absolutely. A special thank you to Texas the Tornado or whoever the heck that was.
Right. I don't know that he's still alive, actually. So
yeah, well,
I think
either
R.I.P.
thank you or rest in peace.
Yes. And also, congratulations to Jacob.
Winner.
Jacob voted in our poll on whether or not the green M&M is hot and is going to receive a bag of green M&Ms.
Correct. Now, do you want to out whether he said yes or no?
He said yes.
Heck yeah.
And I'm only saying that because if you go on the poll, it will tell you the percentage of votes, and everyone that voted yes.
Heck yeah. Okay, so settled right there. Science. Yeah. The green M&M is hot.
Is hot. Yes.
All right. So fantastic. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you again in a couple of weeks.
Yep. See you then.